I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction. Typically, I discuss cattle prices and market influences on weekdays. However, today I must extend a heartfelt apology for my remarks on the feeder flash on February the 16th. My expertise lies in commercial cattle markets, not seed stock, and I acknowledge that my comments may have been inappropriate for seed stock producers and breeders. Although our feeder flash videos include a disclaimer stating that my opinions are personal and do not reflect those of DVAuction, our clients, or our sponsors, I recognize that a simple disclaimer cannot suffice this time. I owe a particular apology to the Angus breeders. The cattle sector is my life's work. The feeder flash represents only my perspective. I've always seen it as an informal chat among friends in a sale barn. Regrettably, I misspoke this time, letting my words get ahead of me. My respect extends to all cattle and breeds. My only wish is for the industry and its producers to thrive. DVAuction stands firmly behind the livestock industry and every breed. Our goal is to support your sales, big or small, and respect your operational decisions. We are proud to facilitate marketing for all major cattle breeds through our online services. I had no right to belittle any breed or express favoritism. It was out of place, unwarranted, and not in line with the spirit of the feeder flash. I deeply value the freedom within our industry for every producer and breeder to raise their preferred type of cattle. I promise to be more thoughtful in the future commentaries. Thank you. I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, February the 19th, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is basically a generic Draxxin, has proven efficacy at an affordable upfront price. End of story. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards, another monster sale. Prices like this, guys, it's bringing cattle out of the bushes. Joplin is expecting 13,500 head of cattle for the regular Monday feeder cattle auction here today. Talked to Mark Harmon on Sunday afternoon. They already had 7,500 in, and the trucks and trailers were backed up. It's going to be a big day at Joplin. They're going to start at 4 o'clock in the morning. They'll be running strings of them by 6, guys, and they'll get done probably by dark, maybe a little after. Don't forget, Joplin's got their cow and bull special coming up here on Wednesday. That'll be February the 21st at 4:30. They got lots of young to middle-aged bred cows, heavy bred. Some of them starting to drop calves as we speak. There was a settlement reached. If you saw in the news, it was pretty widely reported that USDA had reached a settlement with Cargill Meat Solutions. This was about an event that happened back in March of 2022. Cargill self-reported that their grading cameras had not been installed correctly. And so the cameras were not yield grading, which are your quality grades or your prime choice select. Yield grade is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they were not yield grading right. And so they mis-yield graded nearly 325,000 carcasses from August of 2021 to March of 2022. They had underpaid cattle feeders. A lot of them were selling on grade and yield measurements there. They had underpaid cattle feeders by over $12.5 million. So USDA did an investigation on this, and like I said, it was self-reported by Cargill. They paid everybody back what they saw that they owed them, and then USDA fined Cargill Meat Solutions $155,000. $155,000 is not a lot of money when you're talking about those kinds of sums that we were talking about with the mis-yield grading there. In other news, former President Donald Trump was found guilty of overstating values of his assets on his income statement by a New York judge and DA, and he was fined over $350 million. And there was nobody that was hurt and nobody got jilted out of any money. It's kind of interesting to think about those two things. I tell you what, fat cattle trade last week was kind of disappointing. We saw the trade start out earlier in the week last week at 180. That was $2 lower for the most part in the southern plains. You know, a lot of people were really scratching their head why they were doing that. Yes, it had something to do with the cattle are muddy. They wanted to get them sold live if they could, and your packers were going to discount those cattle because they're carrying excess mud. That was part of it. Another part of it, especially in Kansas, is those Kansas feedlots have a lot of wheat cattle that are going to be coming off here pretty quick, and they need to get ready for them. They need the room. They need to get in there and clean those pens out good because of the mud and everything that they've had. So they were kind of willing sellers at that. So fat cattle market was down a little bit this past week. It hurts your feeder cattle market early through midweek when we started seeing that trade happen. But then on Friday, your feeder cattle board, well, live cattle too, but feeder cattle were up sharply on Friday, and your over the weekend sales were just unbelievable. And guys are really excited about it. You can see this guy here, Fort Worth Stockyards. He was celebrating the high price for cattle. But let's look at your board for last week. February live cattle futures. Monday was down 37. Tuesday was down 50. Wednesday down 135. Thursday was up $1. And Friday up $1.37. So the board really kept things under pressure until late in the week and then jumped up there. And we actually saw the highest prices on fat cattle at the very end of the week, like we always do. But it was after fairly considerable trade there. But February live cattle contracts ended the week at 184.77. April ended at 187.55. March feeder cattle Monday was up 167. Tuesday down 82. Wednesday down 177. And your Wednesday feeder cattle auctions were sure lower. But then Thursday, feeder board was up 87 cents, and Friday up 3.92, and those Friday and Saturday sales were out of this world. March feeder cattle ended the week at 250.102. April feeders ended the week at 253.55. March corn ended the week at 416.5. It's been under pressure and kind of holding there just over $4 a bushel. March beans 11.72 1/4. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat for March 567 1/4 cents a bushel. Fat cattle trade up through Thursday of last week, we'd sold 61,200. That's pretty significant just up through Thursday. And then we had some more trade on Friday. So we're going to have a decent week. We don't sell that many cattle negotiated anymore. But live prices in the 5 area feeding region, fat steers and heifers, range from 178 to 183. That was steady to $3 higher actually, but your weighted average was 85 cents lower than the previous week's weighted average at 180.30, with all those cattle in Kansas selling at 180, heavily influencing that. Dress sales ranged last week from 275 to 290. That was steady to $5 lower, and your dressed weighted average was 286.37, down right at $1 from the previous week's weighted average. So we lost some ground there. But on Friday, Iowa sold 1,400, 23,200 for the week. Live price on Friday in Iowa, 180 to 182. Some dress sales at 287. Nebraska sold 900, just short of 20,000 for the week. Only dress sales on Friday from 287 to 290. Kansas sold about 700, about 17,000 for the week in Kansas. Friday price was 180. Texas just sold 300, 4,800 for the week, but live price was 181. And part of that late week support was spurred by the Fed Cattle Exchange. The online fat cattle auction is helping to get some price discovery out there. You know, they held up through midweek. You know, most of the guys that were marketing their cattle through the Fed Cattle Exchange were holding a reserve price of 182. Why wouldn't they? It was 182 the previous week. But Thursday they sold some live cattle at 180. Then on Friday they sold some beef on dairy Premium type cattle at 182.50 base price, and that's bid to grid. And then those cattle that sold late in the week, that 181 in Texas, that was on Fed Cattle Exchange. So they were able to get a little bit more going there late in the week, and the Packers were bidding against one another like in a volley. So that's always good to see, and makes you feel good about a little bit of price discovery. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. Your weighted average on all of last week's choice cuts was $294.37. That was up just 5 cents a hundred. Your late week sales on Friday afternoon were about $2 higher than that on the choice. Select weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales, $286.20. That was up $1.60 from the previous week's weighted average. And your late Friday sales were about 40 cents higher than that. Choice select spread is nothing, just a few pennies over $8. Choice select. That's based on 538 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter, 608,000 was rather disappointing. And that's kind of how your packers have decided to deal with this higher market that they're facing, is just slow things down. How much product they have to fill their needs, we don't know. But 608,000, that's 14,000 less than the previous week, 17,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Ever.ag. Ever.ag agents work with multiple clients in the livestock industry to help answer questions. Navigate risk management with Ever.ag. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 243.17. That was down 141 for the week. And you guys might have heard the market got really crazy there late in the week on Friday, and then any Saturday sales that we had. Of course it did, but it was under pressure all earlier in the week from the board early in the week on live cattle futures, and then the disappointing fat cattle trade, so it was under pressure. But down 141 is your real-time index. Your CME cash feeder cattle index, the latest available, sitting at 244.58. Your trends last week in your sale barns, feeder cattle auctions, cash feeders were steady to as much as $6 lower. Of course, we've got inflated prices. When you get big prices, the being several dollars lower doesn't make as big a difference as it used to. But through Thursday, it was like that. Then sharply higher on Saturday, Friday, and Saturday. Your calves were $3 to $6 higher throughout the week, and even more sharply higher than that over the weekend. You look at your weekend sales. Fort Scott Livestock Market in Fort Scott, Kansas sold 1,800 feeders on Saturday, and you just look at the change over there from the previous week's weighted average, and your calves were sharply higher. Feeder weights were just slightly higher there, but that's a good indication of what we saw around late in the week and over the weekend. Talked to my friend Todd Weichert way out east in Virginia. He owns Stanton Union Stockyards. He told me about a good sale they had late in the week. The Matt Evers cattle from Middlebrook, Virginia. He had 54 steers, weighed 928. In Virginia, guys bring 227 and a quarter. Thought that was pretty impressive. How about Dunlap Livestock Auction in Dunlap, Iowa? They sell 139 head of 849 pound steers. They bring 248.60. That's a good price there. And it's good out west too. Talked to them at Modoc Auction Yard in Alturas, California. They sell a group of steer calves weighed 366 at 420. And I talked to Jack Payne at Nevada Livestock Marketing in Northern Nevada, Fallon, Nevada. He had a special on Friday, sold 600 pound steers at 305. So the market is good from coast to coast, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend in your Macrison, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Erickson, Nebraska on Saturday. 82 steers weighed 607 and bring 334. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.